Thank you, Ray. Beautiful. So this is a chance for Ray and Sarah, Rex and Sarah to be the voice from the audience. And what questions came up?
Sarah, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. I was thinking about earlier in the interview when Liz asked about or just talked about the fathers showing emotions and how important that is. And I'm curious if you've seen in your experience, in your practice, is that hard for fathers to do that? Because sometimes in our society, men are not encouraged to do that. What have you seen, and what can fathers do to help feel more comfortable doing that?
I see it all the time that it's difficult for fathers, and I think the starting point when I talk to a lot of men about in my practice is that we have to get out of the mindset that emotions make us weak, and rather that emotions are really our strength. And, and we start with that change of mindset, but it's difficult, I think, for dads to do that and really helping them understand what that means. I think, I've had some men I work with who they will get to a point where they can be really emotional, and, it's not difficult, but that may not be the same for all men. And so talking about what is their comfort level, and it doesn't mean you have to cry with your kids. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but maybe it's just saying, hey, I had a really bad day at work today. And you know what? I'm distracted. I'm maybe a little angry. And so if I come across maybe that I'm not all there today, hey, call me out. That's okay. And, it could be sometimes that simple, but it's difficult. I think for a lot of people, we have been, I guess kind of through our life told that, strength means that you hold those things in. The interesting part working with a number of men over the years is those that let themselves have that kind of vulnerability with their family, it's life changing for them. It's in a good way. And, I've seen it be better for their relationships with their spouses, and also just with their kids in general, because now our kids and our family know why we're having a bad day. It's not just that we're angry or we're hiding in the garage or we're avoiding interactions. We can say, hey, I'm having a tough time too. But it takes time. It's not something that we get dads to do, 2 or 3 days after we talk about it. Sometimes it's a few month journey to get us there, but we can get
there. Sarah has 4 daughters, Ray.
5 daughters.
She has 4 daughters. 5 daughters, excuse me. Oh my goodness, 5 girls.
Yep.
And Rex, you've got 2 girls, 2 boys, right?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I have 2 girls and 2 boys.
A lot of girls represented here.
Would you recommend, is there a way for fathers to help their daughters maybe better identify their emotions that they're feeling? And maybe, I don't know, regulate or process them? I think it starts
with that identification piece. And, and it's, kind of what Liz said at the end, it's creating this safe place that, one of the things I had to learn, especially when my daughters became teenagers, was when they gave me the emotion that they were having, that I didn't dismiss it, and try to fix it. Because as a dad, you just want to fix it, and it's, and so for me to just kind of go, okay, let's pause for a second. Tell me what that's like for you, and really trying to listen, even if I may not understand it. There are times my daughters have had a reaction and I'm going, okay, I don't know if this is maybe as big of an issue, but for them it was. And instead of dismissing it, creating that space that they could say and I could listen. And I always tell them, I'm like, you tell me when it's my time to talk, because maybe it's not right now. Like maybe I'm just in a listening role, and that's okay. And when we create that, it's, it then they start identifying them more, and you'll hear more of those emotions because they're not afraid you're going to discount them.
Yeah. What about stepfathers? If a daughter doesn't have a father that's
sure,
that role model or whatever, talk a little bit about, tell us about stepfathers and what role they can have.
I actually only heard stepfathers.
Just tell us about the role that they can have.
Sure.
The stepfather.
Yeah. So I think it starts building that connection first. Like, I think that, I tell stepfathers all the time, don't try to come in and save everything at once. Build a good connection first. Build that relationship and that trust. And then kind of ease into those conversations. But I've seen stepfathers be extremely successful at having wonderful opportunities with their daughters. My co-host for the podcast I do, Paul, he talks about his stepdaughters all the time. He has teenage stepdaughters, and they have a great relationship. And but it started for him first to just build a good relationship with them. And then over time, as they trusted him, he was more able to take on, some other aspects of being a father. But the initial part of that relationship, it probably would not have gone well if you just jump in and you're trying to maybe it might come across maybe overbearing. We're giving it some time first, and then I've seen stepfathers be, like I said, exceptionally successful.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great question, Sarah, because not all, mothers are married, right? And yet they care about their daughters and their sons. How else can we find good male role models?
Sure. Well, I think that, I'll just talk about some kids that I worked with who didn't have fathers in their lives, but had great coaches or wonderful teachers or pastors at a church, or just sometimes even friends' fathers who have just a great resource in their life. And so, there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of, I think, great people out there to work with. And but it's something where the kids have to find the person they trust. I think where I've seen it not go well is where I've had other family members go, oh, it should be this person, and they're trying to push a relationship with someone. And my experience has been, it's been much more organic. It's been something where, again, it's just somebody that they've connected with, and they can be a really good role model. And I've seen some just incredibly strong moms out there who they figure it out sometimes on their own too. and they create some of these opportunities, and you go, wow, like I just so much respect for what they're able to do. And wow.
Now that's a great point. Women. Yeah. Being those role models or pointing out those other women in life. Right?
There's some great moms out there doing some awesome things.
I'll say.
Thanks for joining us today. Hey, do us a favor and take a few minutes to subscribe to our podcast and the Utah Marriage Commission YouTube channel, where you can watch this and every episode of the show. When you hit the like button and leave a comment, your feedback helps us improve the show. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend. You can also follow and connect with us on Instagram at Stronger Marriage Life and on Facebook at Stronger Marriage. Be sure to share with us what topics you want us to explore or what you loved about today's episode. If you want even more resources to improve your relationship connection, visit our website at strongermarriage.org, where you'll find free workshops, webinars, relationship surveys, and more. Each episode of Stronger Marriage Connection is hosted and sponsored by the Utah Marriage Commission at Utah State University. And finally, a big thanks to our producers Rex Polanis and Alexis Alcott and the team at Utah State University. And you, our audience. You make this show possible. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the Utah Marriage Commission.